So how do I take pictures like that, and like that from out here? But not just out here, how do I do it from inside? Welcome to Heavenly Backyard Astronomy. I remember when I first started in astrophotography back just a few years ago, 2017, the first thing I had to purchase, which I already had, was a Canon T2i camera. Now, with a simple bayonet adapter and T-ring, you can actually slip this portion of the camera right into the eyepiece of the telescope. And then all I had to do was look into the viewfinder, snap pictures, and I would have it. But then I started to get more refined. I bought a software program where you can connect your camera into a laptop computer, and from there you can automate it. And that program is called Backyard EOS. It's a wonderful program, and if all you want to do is take some astrophotography pictures, you can use your Canon or a Nikon, and you have to have a laptop or some sort of computer. And I did buy this laptop back in 2017 to aid in that process, and I just connected the camera into the laptop, and that was all I needed to do. So all I had was one USB connection from the camera into the laptop. But then I started to get into more guiding, so the telescope would remain fixed on a star for more than 10 seconds or so. And so then I had to get a guide scope. And I got the guide scope, and of course the guide scope, you have to have a guide camera, and the guide camera has a what? A USB 2 connection. So that was another USB connection. But I have 2 ports on the computer for USB, and so that was not an issue. However, as things continued to improve, I started getting into dedicated cameras, and my first camera was this Altair Hypercam 183, and it's a one-shot color camera, and it has a USB 3 connection. So now I have the guide scope and the camera connecting into the computer, and the computer has one USB 3 port and one USB 2 port that's available for the astrophotography. But then I wanted to start using the software to guide the telescope. So that was another USB connection, connecting through the hand controller into the computer itself. So now I'm up to 3 USB ports. And so to accommodate that, I bought just a little USB hub where I could actually plug in 4 USB devices and then just plug that into one USB port. And it works very well. However, as time goes on, it gets more advanced and more complicated at that. And now I'm up to the stage where I have 5 USB connections. And I no longer want to be out at night with my laptop slapping the bugs and the mosquitoes, or putting up with the heat and humidity in the summertime, or the cold and the chilly conditions in the wintertime. I decided, let's try to see if I can remote the laptop from outside to inside, and you can do that too. TeamViewer or AnyDesk, those are 2 great programs to remote into your laptop computer, or if you have a Windows 10 Pro computer on both laptop and your desktop, you can remote into your computer directly from that via Wi-Fi. Okay, that's all said and good, but still you're depending on the Wi-Fi, and there's that sluggish delay, particularly with TeamViewer. You're not really seeing a great image and what have you. So the next step I wanted to do was directly connect the telescope to the desktop inside the house. Well, the next thing I did was I acquired this USB extender, and I can go up to 150 feet of extension direct cable connection by using a Cat6 cable, and that wasn't all that difficult to run. I just ran it from my desktop upstairs through my balcony down underneath the ground and through the garden to the telescope right here, and this is the wire coming up from the bottom. You can barely see it here, coming up from the bottom, that connects directly into my system upstairs. Now the system works very good. I've learned some of the do's and don'ts, how this system works. I've been having issues where I'd be in a recording session during the nighttime hours, And all of a sudden, the guide scope would just cut out. It would just stop. And I couldn't figure out why. And it would give me a USB error. Well, that's no good. So I was trying to figure out what was causing that, and I think I found the answer, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But anyway, I want to show you all the different things that are connected outside on the telescope and how I transport all this data inside the house. So let's take a look. Well, the first thing, of course, you have is the rig itself, the mount. In this case, it's the CGEM, or the Celestron CGEM mount, and you connect it directly through the hand controller. Now, I have a program called CPWI, which is a Celestron product. It's free if you have Celestron devices, particularly mounts. It works on all Celestron mounts, and it works on some other mounts as well. And you just connect via USB to CPWI, and once you get the telescope aligned, star aligned, then the system is automatic from there. And from that, you can plug that into Nina, which I'll talk about a little bit later as well. And so you have that connection right here, and that goes into this USB port right over here. The next thing you have that's important is the next thing that's important is the camera, the main camera, and that plugs in a USB port. Actually, it's USB 3, but in this case, it's a USB 2. So, and that's okay if I'm using deep sky objects. If I'm doing planetary, I need that high frame rate, so I need the USB 3 connection, and I have a different way of doing that, and I'll show you that in just a little bit as well. So anyway, you got the camera, so there's the second USB connection, and then you have the guide scope. The guide scope is a USB 2 connection, and that goes into the extender box as well. So that's 3 connections right there. And then I have the focuser, and that's in this case, the Pegasus Focus Cube, and that's USB 2, and that's what goes into the extender as well. So there's 4 USB connections right here going into this system, which is attached to this telescope itself, actually to the dove bar to the telescope. So all these cables are not dangling, and they're following the scope as the scope moves across during the night as you're tracking. And then I have another one here, the filter wheel itself. The filter wheel is a USB 2 connection, but fortunately most of these newer cameras have a USB port or 2 on the back of the camera, and so I can plug that into the camera, so I have another USB connection. So that's 5 USB connections going on right now that is going back through this hub. Even though it's a 4-port hub, I have 5 USB devices going through it because 2 of them, one from the camera and then another plug into the camera, is going back into the hub itself. Then all that comes out through the USB, all the USB comes out of the Cat 6 cable, then that goes up into the house and then connects to my computer versus the other hub. Now, what else we have here? There's another way of doing it as well. Not only do I use a USB 2 extender, I can actually use a computer, a mini computer, to help with this connection. So let's take a look at that. As I go from one telescope to the other across the garden, look at some of the visitors that are passing through right now. Here we are in the middle of November, and I think the monarchs are on their migrating trip. Now on the C11 telescope, I have a mini computer actually attached to the scope itself, and this is it right here. This little box, it's a BMAX in this particular example, is a Windows 10 Pro system. Totally equivalent to a desktop computer. But look at the size. It only weighs about 1.5 pounds, if that. And I have it attached directly to the dovetail on the bottom of the telescope. So once again, I can plug everything into this system, and even a USB 3. In this case, it has 2 USB 3 ports, and it has 2 USB 2 ports. And then from that, I can either Wi-Fi it into the house, And the signal's pretty strong, but I prefer to use the Cat6 cable as a network cable, and it gives me a much cleaner and smoother connection, and that's this right here. And once again, like the other rig, the Cat6 line goes down underground and then up into the balcony, across the balcony, into the desktop computer, into my office. So this system right here, what you have to do is remote into it. Does everything a desktop computer would do, and all I have to do is just remote into it and just observe it. And the only thing is with this, you have to load in all your software. You have to load in your drivers, of course, and your software, your ASCOM. I loaded in Nina, SharpCap, and the other capturing programs to go along with the drivers that go along with this. But once it's all set up and you're ready to go, it works like a champ. All right, what you have here is the connector from the outside. That blue cable is the Cat6 cable coming in from the outside, and it goes into that black box and then comes out as a USB connector into my main computer. Now this other little computer here on the wall, actually that's a full-fledged Windows 10 computer. I use that to replace my large weather computer that I use to broadcast my weather information across my website, and it controls the radars and all the PHP programming that I do in that, and calculating weather conditions for my local area. That's all done in that little system right there. All right, the first thing I want to do is open up the programs, and the first thing I want to do is, of course, go into CPWI. And this is on the ED80 telescope, the smaller one, and I just connect, and we're connecting. Unpark the mount, yes. Okay, and now it's ready to go. Since I had it aligned and parked, now let's go with the PhD guiding and load in the camera. Start the camera, connect it, connect to the CPWI, connect it. All right, and I can close that, and let's see if I have a connection here. I can lower that. There it is. It's on. Of course, it's daylight right now, but anyway, it's working. Okay, the next thing I do is go into Nina. Nighttime imaging in astronomy, and that's the profile I want to use, and load. Okay, let's go full screen, and I'm going to take it over on the other screen here. I'm going to put Nina over here, and okay, so let's load the camera. It's the camera I want is in this case, the ZWO ASI 1600 millimeter. Why did I say millimeter? 1600 mm Pro, and that's it right there. Connect. Camera connected. Filter wheel. Connect. Connected. Focuser. Pegasus Astro Focus Controller. Connected. All right. Telescope. CPWI. Connect. All right, and the guider, PhD2, and connect. You can see everything is connected, so I'm ready to go. All right, there's everything I was doing last night, except last night, right about here, is where the clouds, right there, the clouds started coming in, so I needed to get more of these guys I wanted, so I can do that maybe tonight, or definitely by tomorrow night. But anyway, it's ready to go. That's the connection. That is the connection with the USB extender. Now I want to show you something I found out though. Let's go over into the properties. And on your PC, if you go to manage controls, and if you look at device manager, and you go to the COM ports, now you're going to have several COM ports available. And what I found out that, for example, this one here, if you go to the port settings, I set the bits per second up to 19,200, and then
go into the Universal Serial Bus Controllers, that's USB, and generic USB hub, right mouse button click, go into Properties, and go into Power Management, and uncheck this one. Allow the computer to turn off the device to save power. Now those defaults to on. Uncheck it. Get it off, because I found out that seemed to be turning off some of my USB connections. One to the telescope, another one to the particularly the guide scope. That was always shutting it off. Once I unclick this, I noticed the problem seems to have disappeared. It hasn't shown up since I disconnected them. All right, what about the remote device on the other telescope, the C11 telescope? That's on remote desktop, which I've already opened up. I'm going to close this right now and come out of that and show you how it is when I start it up. So I have set up remote desktop, and you go into the your settings, and you'll find it in here somewhere. Remote desktop, click on that and enable remote desktop, and click that on, and then just follow the instructions on how to connect this PC to your other devices. And one of the things that you're going to have to do when you first get your mini computer, if you're going to go that route, is that you have to hook it up first of all inside with a keyboard and a monitor, and set it up. And that's the first thing you got to do. Once you get it set up and then set up the remote desktop, then you can disconnect the keyboard and the monitor, and you can just remote into it and then load all your drivers and what have you and software. But the first thing you have to do is definitely connect it to a keyboard, USB, that's fine, keyboard and monitor, so you can see what you're doing, and set up your computer. It will not be set up when you first get it. It'll be just a Windows 10 waiting for instructions on what it wants to do and the name that you want to give it.
Well, I hope this helps with your ideas on how to set up your remote connection with your rig at your locations. Now, I'm sure there are more other ways to set up a remote connection, but these are the two that I found very beneficial. Actually, three when you talk about AnyDesk or TeamViewer connection with your laptop. But this system is working very well. Let me know in your comments below what you think, and if you have tried this or are planning to try it. If you need any additional information, leave a comment and I'll hopefully answer that to your satisfaction. And if you like my videos, please subscribe to my page. That helps me, and who knows, it could help you. I get a lot of information from watching other YouTubers on the astrophotography, and I've learned a lot through YouTube on getting my system set up. Meanwhile, unless you need rain, clear skies, everyone.